Hello to you all. I've come on today to talk and heal about the worthiness wound. And it's so strange. I woke up today and I was just listening to music, to feel gratitude flowing through me and set my intention for the week. And I kept thinking to myself, what is it about the 9th of June? What is it about the 9th of June? And my intention for the day was to stay present, to not miss what it is about the 9th of June. In fact, I shared somewhere today, I said, it's Sunday, it's intention day, enter with gratitude, leave with gifts. It's the simple things. I'm sharing this as I go through it and as I'm healing on it. And today, instead of writing, I thought I'd just share from the heart, because in connecting with this wound, which I've been working on pinpointing for about 2 weeks now, something happened along my day that triggered me into realizing that it is a worthiness wound, and that the worthiness wound is definitely not one to be taken lightly. The reason I say this is because it sits dormant in the heart, between the heart and the mind, and I'll explain the link there. But it sits dormant, and what activates the awareness of it, the feeling of it, is when it becomes a block to stepping in to the new version of yourself. We've all been experiencing leaps of growth. I still feel like it's since the eclipse, that big, was it the solar eclipse? I think it's been 2 or 3 months now, but we've been up-leveling in big strides. And I feel like in some cases it presents as a block, sometimes a block to creativity, sometimes a boredom in creativity and expanding on the creativity that's already there. But I feel like that period has mostly been an opportunity to see with the eyes and to feel into the size, the quantum of this creation. It's as if one has been reassured that there is a purpose, but in order to grasp its full extent, or even just to keep up with it, this worthiness wound cannot be avoided. It must be overcome. So when it comes to this link that I see between the mind and the heart, you have your heart chakra, and then you've got your higher chakras. And what lies between is the throat and the third eye. In this process of co-creation, the third eye is what helps one to see what to do next. But you must be able to trust it. One has to be able to trust what is being seen. And then you have your throat, which is where you communicate this creation, where you bring it to life, where, for me, if I'm a writer, that is writing. And for an artist, it would be producing, creating a piece of art. Whatever it is that takes this information from the third eye into the world is the throat chakra. And if these are the 2 points that we need to be using, that becomes a very difficult process and a blocked process if the heart is struggling to keep up with a worthiness wound and the mind keeps reminding you of past conditioning and past voices in your head that keep taking you back to the past version of yourself, back to the person who is not worthy. So both the mind and the heart have to be healed. As I was contemplating this, and this next part is a very weird thing for me to admit, but we're here. I went back to an audio that I created quite a while back now, a divine inquiry, and I'm going to add the link to it in this description box for you to refer to if this is what you're going through as well. But what I found when I listened to it, and I say what's weird about admitting this is that I listen to my own audios, but what happens is that I have downloads and I record them and I share them. What I'm realizing is that they are timeless. And what I'm realizing and have realized is that listening to them heals me too. And so today I listened to it. And the divine inquiry is, it's a mental process. It's a mental inquisition between the self and the higher self, with the higher self trying to reminding the self that perception is the block to healing this worthiness wound. I never really called it a worthiness wound healing when I shared it, but now that I'm able to kind of pinpoint, inverted commas, the ailment, I can translate it into this now. That audio immediately opened my heart. And when I say opened my heart, it really brought to light which mental processes were taking place, which are taking place in my head that are creating this block. And what I know is that we don't actually need to partake in the entire process of healing ourselves. The biggest step is bringing awareness to the matter. Sometimes the hardest step is allowing the heart to open, because a lot of these conditionings, a lot of these energies and feelings are locked up deep inside the heart. Again, we move around unaware of them, and we only need to face them when we're facing this next step, this next bridge that needs to be overcome. And so the reason why I say this worthiness wound cannot be overlooked. There is no getting around it. There is no getting around it. It affects creativity, it affects flow, it affects forward movement. Because essentially what it requires is for one to accept their greatness. It requires for one to accept their divinity, not in speech, not in theory, for real. It requires you to step over, overcome all of these, I don't know if I want to call it a humility wound now, where one is so used to being humble that one cannot accept that one is great. Phew. So because that audio already exists, I just thought I would share that that's what I believe its purpose is. And if you find yourself at this particular juncture, I would say go to that inquiry. The questions are very simple, but they activate a very complex part of you. Or rather, I should say they activated a very complex part of me. With every question, my heart opens. With every answer, or rather I should say with every question, there's an answer that lifts this wound. And I hope that this particular audio is helpful. And I've shared it here. I'm sharing this here because I've seen it now that what I am going through is what we are going through. And I really appreciate you all right now, because these are not, I suppose, the timing of the process, the energy of the process is one that is not easy to explain. And I want to say that when this part of you is in the process of waking up, this heart that has held wounds of unworthiness for so long, that are so hidden and hidden so deep inside, acknowledge that that part is shy to reveal itself. But it can be revealed. It can be revealed to you, because by this point, you're allowed to trust yourself. Please know that you're allowed to trust yourself now. And what needs to happen is just that opening to bring it to the surface. And maybe scary to face, but you will meet each other halfway. and you will have compassion for that part of you, and you will be gentle with that part of you, and you will understand why that part of you has been hidden, because for a long time, these are the things that happened externally. There are things that happened externally that caused this part of you to hide in a safe place, not be seen. But now you need that part of you. That's the creative part of you. That's the part of you that has a difference inside. That's the part of you that needs to show up for you now. And there is no proceeding without that part of you. There is no forward movement without that part of you. And I think that what happens is we do so much work, we reveal so many layers, we uncover, we peel, we do all these things. But it's now time to go to the deepest place, because it's those deepest parts of us that are being called out now, that have the color, the depth, the knowing. They hold the volume and the quantum of what is about to be revealed. Those things are not on the surface. Those things are not just below the surface. And it's time to fetch them. And as you're negotiating with this energy to release and open the heart, again, breathe the light down into your heart. Take a deep breath in and release all that gunk, all that sludge. Let it be free, let it come out. It's there because it's been there. It no longer belongs there. And remember, as you're contemplating this idea of perfection, what you create is perfect in and of itself. Your only responsibility is to embrace healing. You are a healer. You are healing. You are healing yourself, and your healing is healing others. And your healing art will heal others, even in the process of creating it. In the process of creating it, before you've even released it, you are already healing yourself and others. You are healing. Be gentle. Sending you all love in light and in darkness.